Welcome everyone to the Moreland Township, September 9th, 2025 Board of Commissioners stated and advertised monthly meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming. Good evening. Welcome to our meeting again. With regard to the public comment portion of our meeting, I'd like to start off by saying how important public input, your comments and concerns are to all of us. If you'd like to make a comment, public comment, please come up to the podium at the front of the room, state your name and address clearly for our record, for our lovely assistant, Leah Simmons. Please direct your comments to the entire Board of Commissioners. We want to provide meaningful information for everyone. In the interest of everyone's time, we cannot engage in debates or long dialogues. As such, we will be keeping comments to 3 minutes. If you have any additional comments or concerns that is not on our agenda item, the opportunity to speak would be during our public participation portion for non-agenda items. Finally, may we all ask that you be respectful and kind. Thank you very much. To let everyone know, the Board of Commissioners met in executive session prior to this evening's meeting to discuss a personnel matter. The first item, the first committee is chaired by me, Commissioner DENISE KURITZ, Internal Affairs Committee. Review and consider minutes of August 12, 2025. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Comments regarding our minutes?
No.
Okay. Does the public have any comments regarding the August 12th, 2025 minutes? Anyone on Zoom with? I see no one in the room. Like to make a motion to approve our August 12th, 2025 minutes. Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the August 12th, 2025 minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Didn't hear any opposed. Thank you, Commissioners. The next item is review and consider September 2025 bill list. Again, it's beautiful, wonderfully laid out bill list. Thank you, EJ. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or any for our bill list? No one, I hear no one. Anyone, any public comment from the public in the room? I see no one in the room. How about on Zoom, Leah? No one on Zoom. Hearing none. Make a motion to approve the September 2025 bill list.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the September 2025 bill list. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Here, no opposed. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion's passed. Next is review and consider the police benevolent step 2 grievance. The board met this evening in executive session prior to this public meeting. And we have a motion in front of us. My computer's malfunctioning. Give me a minute. To deny the PBA's step 2 grievance. Does the board have any questions?
No.
Is there any public comment at this time? Like to make a motion to deny the PBA's step 2 grievance.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to deny the PBA's step 2 grievance. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Didn't hear any opposed. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion's passed. Next is review and consider resolutions establishing the 2026 MMOs for pension plans. Manager Hoffman, would you like 3 minutes?
Absolutely. So this is how we know it is the September meeting each year. So there are 3 things that we have before the board this evening. The first 2 are related to the police pension plan. And this ultimately is setting what is the township's minimum municipal obligation. So essentially your funding requirements into the 2 pension plans that the township has. So the first 2 for the police plan Based off of information I received from the plan actuary, I estimate the 2025 W-2 payroll, and then that goes through calculations that are based off of the plan valuation. That then determines for 2026, is there additional money that needs to go into the plan to keep that well funded. So the two things that are related to the police plan this evening, the first is that there's a resolution which will set the officer contribution rate at 5% for 2026. That is something that also had happened in 2025. And then the second resolution is establishing the actual value of that MMO, which after the officer contributions are deducted from it, the township receives state aid, though it will not cover it fully. So the budget number for the MMO on the police plan is $346,949. The third resolution this evening is the MMO for the non-uniform plan. This one is far simpler, as it is just a defined contribution plan that is defined in the labor contracts that we have for the public works and clerical unions. So that is just a factor of the payroll, some that we know, some that we have to estimate because we still have the budget process ahead of us. But multiplied by the contribution rate. So the MMO for the non-uniform plan is $247,289. So those numbers will be placed into the budget when I go to prepare that in the coming weeks. So each of those are spelled out in 3 separate resolutions. So my recommendation would be for the board to consider those 3 individually. The first is resolution 2522 that will set the officer contribution rate at 5% for 2026. The second is resolution number 25-23, which will set the 2026 police plan MMO as $346,949. And the third being resolution number 25-24, establishing the 2026 MMO for the non-uniform plan is $247,289.
Thank you, Manager Altman. Just some notes that this year's should be a little less than last year,
That's
according
correct.
to your discussion with the actuary.
Correct. And the premise for that is that Act 205 has the actuary do a plan valuation as of the first of the year in each odd year. So this year's value MMO is based off of a valuation report from January 1st, 2025. Last year's, at the time that we were doing that valuation report had not been done. So that was based off of the 1/1/23. So just based off of the plan earnings during that period of time, there was a strong market for both of the years included in that valuation. So the overall funding obligation on an annual basis is less, but is still both triggering the officer contributions and an MMO that the township must cover. But it is less than it was prior.
And prior, the Lower Moreland police officers have only made pension contributions in 2 years in their careers, right?
So if
2021.
her current officer,
Current.
yes, if there were officers who have since retired, those that kind of built the plan early on in their careers, had made contributions several years ago, but all of our current officers, this will just be the 3rd time that this contract provision is triggered for them to make contributions.
Do they know?
Yes. Yeah, the second I press enter on my Excel sheet, I give the PBA president a call and also share the great news with Chief Smith.
Are you saying this is largely driven by, you're saying it's the valuation, but there's an aspect of this where there's state aid that comes in as well. Is that reducing or is that flat and just not covering the growth that we need to cover?
Yes, so the state aid is a function of employee units. So each year, DJ files a report with the state and a police officer. And if we had municipal employees who were career firefighters, each of those like employee groups count as 2 employee units. Everybody else is 1. Then in like August or September, the legislature sets a employee unit value that is then multiplied by our total number of employee units, and that is the state aid that we get. That is not necessarily designed to cover 100% of the funding obligation. It's done to help offset. The police plan in Lower Moreland is very well funded compared to many of our municipal neighbors, but it's just at this point, the numbers are so significant that it does often trigger having an MMO value that is greater than what the state aid would offer.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Manager Hoffman? Any public comment in the room? Anyone on Zoom? Yeah. Okay, that being said, we have 3 motions in our tablet. The first 2, as Manager Hoffman, we have 3, so the first 2 is for uniformed officers. So motion to approve resolution 2522, setting the officer contribution rate for 2026 to 5%. Like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2522 as described. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Commissioners. That motion's passed. The next motion is to approve resolution 2523, establishing the 2026 police pension plan MMO as $346,949.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2523 as described. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Thank you, Commissioners. It's passed. Next is a motion to approve resolution 2524, establishing the 2026 non-uniformed pension plan MMO as $247,289.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2524. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving along. Next is review and consider our 2026 budget schedule. So in accordance with our budget process, it's time for all of us to set the review meeting schedule for this fall. Can't believe the summer went by too fast. The first meeting scope will change from prior years on progress in the fire and EMS consolidation. So this meeting's going to include just one presentation from our Huntington Valley Library, followed by an introduction to the overall budget process by Manager Hoffman. The revision will hopefully reduce the amount of time needed during our 2 other budget sessions. Our 2 latter sessions will begin with presentations from Chief Smith and Chief Shoemaker. Steve Werner, unfortunately, will not be available during the board's selected dates. So Manager Hoffman will be making his presentation.
I'm going to wear a hard hat as I make that presentation.
Thank you. And we'll miss you, Steve. So the dates that we all selected, and I want to thank the board for coming together and rearranging your schedule to make sure that these budget meetings were scheduled. Huntington Valley Library budget kickoff is Monday, September 29th at 5:30. Budget session number 1 is Monday, November 3rd at 5 p.m. And budget session number 2 will be Wednesday, November 5th at 12 p.m. We don't need a motion for this, right? It's just a.
Correct. So based off of, as provided that works for everybody, then EJ will advertise the meeting dates. There's no action that the board will take at any of those meetings, but we advertise them just because it is the whole board getting together.
Is everyone still okay with these meeting dates and times? And I know, unfortunately, Commissioner Pace can only make one in-person meeting, but
No.
you can come.
I can't come to any in person on Mondays. You picked all, it looks like.
Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
The Wednesday.
Yeah, the Wednesday, the 5th, I'll be there.
Okay, right, but we're gonna have,
The Monday
Yeah,
in September and the Monday in November.
right, we can have you on Zoom.
Yeah.
We'll be
I'll be
glad.
virtual, yes.
Virtual,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, everyone else okay? We're good. Does anyone have any public comment regarding our meeting schedule? If not, EJ, advertise away. Thank you. Okay. Next is review and consider labor council agreement. No, I have.
Happy to take those.
So, and it's, you know,
We do
go ahead,
it.
solicitor.
Okay.
What's in the information packet is a memo from the township manager regarding the township's appointed labor council. Currently, and for a number of years, Township Labor Council has been Sienna Law. 2 attorneys in that firm, Chris Gerber and Eric Brown, have been basically splitting the labor personnel duties. Mr. Gerber is leaving and joining Lamb Mackerlane, which is a law firm in Chester County. I guess Mr. Brown's staying at Sienna Law, and tonight, I think what the recommendation is, Mr. Hoffman, is that both attorneys continue to handle what they've been handling. Eric Brown's been handling the labor contract negotiations and any issues related to that, and Chris Gerber has been handling other personnel matters. So what's in front of the board is to approve this split arrangement, since they're two separate law firms, Sienna Law and Lamb Mackerlane, and there's no change in any of the hourly rates, I take it.
Correct.
Thank you,
So
Solicitor.
that's the motion before the board.
Thank you, Solicitor. Does anyone have any questions regarding? Any public comment? From anyone in the room? Anyone on Zoom? I'd like to make a motion to approve the split arrangement for labor council between Sienna Law and Lamb Mackerlane as described.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the split arrangement for labor council between Sienna Law and Lamb Mackerlane. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is the administration report. Manager Hoffman.
Sure. So just a couple of items that I'll report on this evening. Obviously, at this time of year, my primary focus is preparing budget documents. So with the date set, I now know kind of how and when I need to have everything prepared by. So the only other item I wanted to call out, I did exchange text messages with Jeff Elsink today, president of Borough Council. He did advise that the borough is going to participate in the township's trash contract. So they had looked at a couple of different options, but ultimately are deciding to stick with us. And just as a reminder, that has no cost consideration for the township. When you approved a contract value, that was based off of the rate per home times the number of homes in Lower Moreland. In the arrangement that we have with the borough, we pay the full bill, and then EJ and Leah invoice regularly, so that the borough is covering their side of it. So we'll now coordinate with them, because this means that we have to include them in the total purchase. But otherwise, everything is proceeding with that as we have anticipated. So that is what I have for this evening, unless there are any specific questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Manager Hoffman? Any public comment for the manager? Anyone on Zoom? Thank you, Manager Hoffman. Assistant Manager EJ Lee. Thank you for your lovely report. Would you like to highlight anything, EJ?
No, just that there's the resolution for the fire company's pumper lease agreement is in there for Commissioner CANALE when he's up, and then just updating that, catching up on 2025 finance cleanup now that 2024 audit is fully done, and trying to keep up with Manager Hoffman as he's doing the budget, and yeah, and just keeping up to make sure 2025 is cleaned up for 2026.
Thank you, EJ, very much.
It's good to see you on there, Eugene.
Likewise.
Thank you all, except both of your reports as submitted. Next is our tax collector's report. Is our elected tax collector, Jane Sale. I think I see her up there.
She's up there, but I heard the door, which probably means that somebody's coming in to pay her. Oh, unmute.
Okay, here she comes.
I can't see, but I can hear.
And we can hear you.
Okay, good. So the taxes are for actual collections, it's 95.22% collected. For face collections, it's 96.95% collected. The balance due for taxes is $214,814 even, and the balance in trash is $36,050 even. On Collections are a little slow right now because everyone's paying their school taxes.
Thank you, Jane. Does anyone have
Thank you
any
very much.
on the board for tax collector sale? Does anyone have any public comment or questions for tax collector? If I don't see anybody, if not, thank you, Jane. I'll accept your report as submitted. Next is my liaison report. My positions are the Lower Moreland Township School District, Lower Moreland Township DEI, and Lower Moreland Township Community Events. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, to date, no meetings have been scheduled. The Lower Moreland Township School District, I attended both August meetings via Zoom. The work sessions on August 5th, I reported on that at our last monthly meeting. And I attended the public meeting on August 19th. This month, the work session took place on September 2nd. It's a super short meeting for the school board. Nothing, everything's very important, but nothing major to highlight. The public meeting will be held on September 16th. All meetings start at 7 o'clock in person or on Zoom. They hold them at the Lower Moreland High School Black Box Room. The district's website is www.lmtsd.org. Please stay involved and informed. Under community events for Lower Moreland Township, first, our assistant and project coordinator, Leah, and I are working very hard and been in touch with our presenters, trying to line up some nice presentations for the fall and winter. Our first event for the season in September will be our movie night under the stars, which will be September 20th at 7 p.m. at the Huntington Valley Library. Bring your blankets and chairs to the library back lawn for a showing of Dogman 2025 on a giant inflatable screen. Light refreshments will be served. The rain location is at the Red Line Gym. All ages are welcome, but children must be accompanied by an adult. In October, we have 2 events that are scheduled and ready to go. October 11th, which is Saturday from 11 to 2, is our yearly fire prevention day. We always look forward to that. And the township and the police department, we thank them for we are guests of the fire company. We have an open house, both of us, and we can't wait for that event. Next is our trunk or treat drive-through, which will be held October 18th. Once again, held at the Public Works Facility on Heaton Road. The rain date will be Sunday, October 19th. And we will be collecting canned goods for Fill Abundance at the event. And we hope everyone comes and has a great time. They're great events. Does anyone have any questions regarding the events? Does anyone from the public have any questions? If not, that concludes my agenda for this evening. Next, the chair recognizes Commissioner Mueller, Chair of Community Development Committee.
Thank you, President Kurtz. The first item on my agenda, I'd like to invite Code Enforcement Officer Ted Middleman to provide this announcement report.
We had 12 use and occupancies for the month. We had 11 meetings with contractor homeowners. We had 84 permits that we issued. We had zoning hearing board this month, and we wrote 6 citations that went to district court. Are there any questions?
No, thank you for your hard work. I know you were in court today too.
We were.
Are things moving forward in district court? Are you getting any resolutions for any?
We are getting some resolutions. The judge is also setting some continuances so we can kind of work with the folks. So we're getting there.
Any questions? Thank you.
Yep.
The next item on my agenda is my liaison report, and that is for Pennypack Ecological Restoration Trust. They did not meet this past month, but they do have a strategic 5-year plan meeting that's coming up in September, which I plan to participate in. And then also in September next week, they have their quarterly meeting, so I'll report next month on that. That concludes my agenda items for the night.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. Next, the chair recognizes Commissioner CANALE, Chair of the Public Safety Committee. Jeff.
Thank you, President Kurtz. First item on my agenda for this evening is the Act 172 tax credit resolution. Board approved the ordinance enabling volunteer service credit program at their July meeting. Solicitor Rice has now prepared the attached resolution, which establishes the reimbursement parameters. This is based on the Montgomery County program. Generally, volunteers will earn points for defined activities. Accumulating points will earn a rebate on local real estate taxes per the following schedule. 50 points will be a 25% rebate, 100 points, 50%, 150 points, 75%, and 200 points will be a 100% tax rebate on the local tax. Is there any questions from the board on this? The attached resolution gets in detail on how the volunteers earn those points.
And is the tax credit for anybody that's residing in the house, or it has to be the person that's participating has to be on the deed? How's that?
It's for the person that's named on the deed, the way that I'm interpreting it, and that's what it would be. So say your child was on the fire department, you won't be eligible for that credit. Any other questions from the board? Anything from the public? I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2525, establishing the Act 172 Volunteer Service Credit Program parameters.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025 as described. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item on my agenda is the HV library roof quote. Steve, I'm gonna have you just give a brief summary, or Chris, on this of where we stand right now.
So I've been getting prices that were all over the place, so Sourcewell, Co-Stores, Omni, and then I did talk to some commercial contractors, and the price varied so much different. I think we'll just put it at the bid, get your guys' approval in October. If we don't like that bid, we still have a price from Omni that we can utilize, but I think it'd be a good idea to bid it and see what the open market does.
And just for the board's reference, so Omnia is another cooperative purchasing option similar to CoStar's. And I guess it had been a while since we used it, so we forgot that we were members. Steve has confirmed that we have made a purchase in 2015 that set up that whole membership program. So essentially, we will advertise a bid, get that pricing to be able to compare to the one that we have through the cooperative, just to make sure that we're allocating the right amount of public dollars towards this project.
Steve, can I ask you a question? Somewhat of a general question, but also related to this. Do we ever, when we have large projects like this, coordinate with the school district if they also have similar projects? I know over this past year, so I think with the new high school, and I think also with some of those schools, they've had some leak issues, they've been addressing roof issues. Is there any reason why we would be advantageous or even able to sort of collaborate?
So at times we have collaborated, like when we do our paving, a lot of times, used to be Mark Swade and Lance, Mark McGuinn would reach out to them a lot of times, say, look, we're doing our paving, are you guys doing anything? You know, we could do a big together.
Okay.
So at times we do, on this, no, I have not.
Okay.
Obviously we did the field together,
Sure.
we've done anything that we can bid together to get a better price.
I wasn't sure
Good
if
idea.
we were able to, so that was a big part of the question. And then, I don't know if there's.
The complexity of, like, when we did
Yeah.
the field together, that was backed by memorandums of understanding and having to establish an entire structure.
Gotcha.
Having to do that for a smaller roof project, might be excessive, but we can certainly, if there are overlaps, we can certainly have those conversations.
Yeah, whenever we can collaborate.
Does that roof also include over top of the gym?
No, that's a flat roof.
Right.
That roof, actually, we're still warranty on that. That flat roof and flat roof of the library are still under warranty. This is just the shingle.
Any other
motion?
No, any other questions from the board? Anything for the public? All right, you can just put that out to bid. Thank you, Steve. Next up on my agenda is the Pier Saver pumper truck financing option. Board of Commissioners authorized staff to engage with TD Bank for financing the Pier Saver pumper truck in the amount of $939,467.88 at a rate of 4.25%. Since then, staff has been working with TD Bank to process the necessary engagement agreements. And a requirement of the loan docs is a resolution formally authorizing the execution of the agreement. Attached to this memo is the resolution as required by TD Bank, the legal opinion of the township solicitor confirming the authority to execute the agreement by the township is also included with this memo and resolution. Is there any questions on this from the board? Anything from the public? I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2526 to authorize EJ Lee to enter into an agreement with TD Bank for the financing of the Pierce Saber pumper truck at a rate of 4.25% for a total loan amount of $939,467.88.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2526 as described. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. All right, next up on my agenda is the Civil Service Commission appointment. In July, we advised that the term of Civil Service Commissioner member Eugene Conway was set to expire on September 14th, 2025. Mr. Conway has indicated his willingness to continue serving in this capacity. Additionally, the alternate position is now vacant. Board recently interviewed Cedric McKeever with the group interested in a planning commission appointment. Mr. McKeever has indicated his willingness to serve as the Civil Service Commission alternate, so that is also included in this memo. The appointment would complete the vacated term through May 26, 2025. Any questions on either one of these candidates for this position from the public or the board? No? I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2527, reappointing Eugene Conway to the Civil Service Commission for a term commencing September 15th, 2025 and ending September 14th, 2031.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to reappoint Eugene Conway to the Civil Service Commission. Resolution 2527. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2528, appointing Cedric McKeever as an alternate on the Civil Service Commission for a term commencing September 15th, 2025 and ending May 12th, 2026.
And real quick, before the board votes on that, I did see that I have.
Isn't it 2025 it's supposed to be, or which
No.
one's correct?
So I just looked it up. The correct date is the one in the sample motion, May 12th, 2026.
All right,
in
but my
the-
motion's good, my memo's no good.
Well, the memo actually is correct, that the term. No, yeah, the
No.
date in the term is incorrect.
Yeah,
There is no basis for what I wrote.
all right. I read it for you. So May 12th, 2026 will be the correct date and the date of the vote.
That's correct.
Okay.
Can I get a second?
Was there a second?
Any questions? No, second, thank you.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2528, appointing Cedric McKeever as an alternate from the Civil Service Commission. All those, as described, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Sounds good. Next up, Chief Smith.
That's scary. My full report was submitted, just some brief things from the month of August, so we were about on par. Maybe a little bit less than we had been the past few months, but 1,697 calls for service. As I'm sure everybody's aware, it's usually traffic related things, accidents, enforcement generally tend to be our most common call for service, as well as some public service things. Full swing with our hiring process. The application process closes on Friday of this week. Then we have our written test, physical agility next week, and the interviews the week after. So we're hopeful to get one good candidate out of that. Hopefully several good candidates, but only one we'll need to hire. Just a reminder that school's starting back up. So be cautious in school zones, bus stops, be aware, caution in the neighborhoods, because we have a lot of children out at the bus stops. Did start up last week, so all three of our schools, the main schools, Hunting Valley Christian School, the Laurel School District, as well as St. Albert's, all began. We were out full force, showing presence out there to try and remind everybody of the school zones and reintroduce ourselves to some of the children. We continued that through this week as well. So everything's been going well so far from our school resource officers. So things are going well so far. We continue to have theft from mail, theft of mail from homes. Again, I'll just give everybody the reminder, try to deliver your stuff right to the post office, bring it inside, don't use the blue post office box. It just causes a lot of problems, leads to frauds, check washing, things of that nature, generally what people are taking. We have posted on social media. There's some interesting stuff we put in the township newsletter as well, just some helpful hints about using specific kind of pens that maybe are a little bit more difficult to wash from a check. So a couple different things. Theft from autos and theft of autos is again continuing. We cleared almost every one of the incidents of them from last year, but as generally happens with arrests, someone comes to fill the space. So there's more opportunity once we arrest someone and other groups move in. Again, a lot of those arrests were some great detective work, some more of our officers catching them in the act. So very happy about that. But again, these things continue. So lock cars, take valuables out, do not leave your keys in the car. Just a reminder too, we've had a few calls lately of illegal or unusual cars in neighborhoods. Don't hesitate to call them in right away, because if we see them, we can address them with the people and make sure that they're not leaving cars that are uninspected, uninsured, unregistered out in the street. So just a reminder to call them in, shouldn't cause a problem in the neighborhood. So for any of you, just let us know about that. Good stuff from our canine program. We had an assist with the Upper Moreland Police Department where Canine Thor was able to find a hidden compartment in a vehicle that was used to store drugs and weapons. So it was a great success story for Canine Thor there. I got a great thank you from Chief Bendig and Upper Moreland for our assistance there. We are one of the few departments. A lot of departments are going to bomb dogs at this point. So we are one of the few departments with 2 drug dogs actually. So it was again great work by Canine Thor. So both are doing a great job so far. And again, that program has been very beneficial for us. Real quickly, our community events, we completed Abington's Night Out was on August 4th. It's another great event. We get invited every year. There's a lot of people from our community and all the surrounding communities that go out to that. So it's a great event. And then upcoming, we have our drug take back day that we take part in. That's there's always 2 in the year. One is in May. This one is October 25th. We'll post that on our social media as well, just to remind everybody. Any medications, things you have at your home, bring them in, and we dispose of them with the help of the county. Any questions or anything with that?
I saw in your report, there was a dumping, illegal dumping on Philmont Avenue. Were you?
I was not aware of that one specifically, but it just that I don't know.
It was a littering. It was under littering. It used dumping, and it's caught my eye.
Yeah, so a lot of times what'll happen on Philmont Avenue with a lot of the businesses, we've specifically had it a couple times this past year. Where the people working private construction will bring their stuff to these parking lots as they're closed and try and dump the stuff in the dumpsters. I'm not sure what the exact address was on that one. I can find it out for you, but that's generally what it is. It's usually contractors that are trying to find a cheaper way to get rid of their stuff than.
I'll talk to you about it.
Sure.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, Chief, I have a question for you. I've had a number of my neighbors come up to me. I live right at the corner of Philmont and Byberry, and with the anticipated road work starting, there's just a lot of questions about traffic rolling through, because I think the detour is going to take, basically the from that corner is going to roll through our corner to sort of bypass that. So my question to you, do you anticipate at all having any presence there, whether it's a car or occasionally having a car to help sort of like just temper the speed and temper how people sort of take that detour, and even like maybe throughout the course of this work? Do you expect?
Yes, so we have already talked to traffic safety about that because of any of the neighborhoods in there. Just close your ears, but we do utilize decoy vehicles too. So, they're not always manned, but just to help people understand they shouldn't be cutting through neighborhoods. So our traffic safety officers can also be out there and enforcing some of that if there is stuff, because anytime people cut through, they generally disregard stop signs and speed in the neighborhood. So they are aware of that coming up.
Okay, awesome.
And they'll be out there as best we can. So, and we'll respond to any as well if there's issues that come, because there's going to be a lot of those neighborhoods affected along Philmont Avenue. So we will be out there as much as we can. So
Philmont will be open to local traffic though?
I believe so. Yes, local traffic will be able to, but they have the detour is going Byberry to Pine and then around the area both directions.
Gotcha. Any other questions for the chief from the public?
Did you get a robust response for your employment?
So no, this is our worst in, I would say the 6 years we've done it. So it's our lowest number and they've gone down every year since we've initiated it. We were as high as 91. Right now we're at 25, I believe is the number of applicants. And this is I would say, I know it's a regional problem at the very least. I can tell you the Montgomery County Consortium just concluded a few months back and 23 departments were in the testing process. They had, I believe it was I think 220 applicants. By the time all was said and done through the testing process, they had less than 80 people that were even eligible to be hired by those 23 departments. So I think our numbers kind of fall in line, unfortunately, with what's going on. We did try some different things this time. I reached out and spoke at one of the community colleges. We have the sign that's out right now. It's at the center of town there. Just trying some different things. So we've tried some different things, but again, we're not being very successful just yet. So
With that being said, you need one.
one, yes, one is what we're looking for. So
To replace.
I'm very hopeful with that number to be able to get good candidates. It is a little disappointing the number's so low, but so it is a regional problem at the very least.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, Chief. Fire Marshal Shalley.
Good evening, Commissioners. The illegal dumping was at 3103 Philmont Avenue. That was found. It was also caught on camera, and that gentleman had, from the police department, worked with our Velocity venture. That was all cleaned up by the illegal dumping. So that was taken care of. Just a couple of things. We're going through the schools, just getting some of their incident action plans together, and especially the smaller schools. I'm working with a Zoom meeting with the lower Moreland School District soon to come up and just to go over some of their emergency action plans and update their Knox boxes. Otherwise, it's pretty much.
Any questions for the Fire Marshal? Anybody from the public? Thank you, Fire Marshal Shalley. Chief Showmaker.
Good evening, everyone. In regards to the signed resolution, am I going to copy that? Because I need to get that over to the State Park Commissioner's office.
Once it is signed, you will have.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, it's been quite a busy month for us. My joint report for both Lower Moreland and Brennath has been submitted to both managers. You'll see there's a number of meetings that have attended throughout the month, including some work group committees for our FMFR, emergency management team meetings that Mr. Shalley conducts for us after action type events. And we'll talk a little bit about some water rescue work we had this month. Attended several meetings regarding the new fire station project, which is about to really get picking up and getting moving on. So with that in the budget, we're going to have our hands full, doing a lot of juggling the balls in the air over that. As far as training goes, we did start our joint training as of this Monday between both stations. We now train together on Monday nights, and that's been a directive that was put out, and we're hoping that's going to continue to be a successful program. But we'll keep monitoring that. On the other items that we talked about, there was some work done on one of the Brennath fire trucks that I think I talked about it last week, because we're going to start advertising that truck for sale as of October as part of our fleet reduction plan that we put in place. That'll be the first one to go, most likely, along with the engine that's being replaced with the new pumper that you approved financing for tonight. As far as the new pumper goes, that should be going online in about 2 weeks, and the production will start on that. We're anticipating they push us back a little bit to December, have it delivered to us, which will then go to the dealer's location to get some more outfitting done. That was part of the contract with it. We've met with both Deputy Chief Middleman and Deputy Chief Weiss of the Station 19-1. We reviewed the equipment that we need for that truck. We are pretty confident we have just about everything we need already in stock, with the exception of some hose, which is being purchased by the Brennath folks. Been a number of standard operating procedures that we've worked on and implemented over the month, and we continue to move forward with a different project like you heard tonight with the tax rebate program. The solicitor get some information for them on that. And we also are working on the incorporation documents and some information for that. I did a lot of research on the relief section of that. That's one of the portions of the, lost my train of thought on the wording. I want that we're incorporating that group too. So there's been a lot of work with that, and it's a pretty complicated process. We're learning as we go. What we found out was there's not been a lot of new relief associations developed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the last 70 years. In fact, we can't find one yet. It's been pretty tough. So getting the information to know what to do with that's been challenging. Let's see here. The tower ladder is been out at Glick in Lancaster getting the body work done from the minor mishap that happened on that. We're anticipating having that back next week. So that should be get back in service and moving along with that. And we've done some water rescue training over the last month, at least I have. I've done some training to get familiar with what the newer standards are that these folks deal with on a daily basis. And most importantly, I've begun the comprehensive work on the 26th FMFR. As a budget that's going to be submitted as one to both communities as one budget. It's being built from scratch. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I'm meeting on a daily basis with the two organizations to pin down all the expenses that they have, bring those expenses together to reduce them down and consolidate them instead of duplicating like we've been doing. So we anticipate a very successful submission to you on that. We'll see how that goes on November 3rd. I think it is. That's it. Okay, as far as response statistics, as we, the standard that we developed that we're trying to meet, we went into Huntington Valley Station 19, met it 28% of the time this month. It's down a little bit. The Brenathan Station met it at 85.2% of the time, with an average of 6 minutes and 49 seconds on a response, with an average of 3.53 suppression personnel on the truck. Now, again, we do follow that up with the ambulance, so we are meeting technically 100% of the time, but I like to show the fire statistics on it, because I think it's important on how we compare that. Fire calls of interest for the month, I'll just talk about one water rescue that happened again on Philmont Avenue, seems to be our hot spot. On 8/25 of 2025, we were dispatched for a water rescue down on Philmont Avenue. We encountered a vehicle with water rising up through the doors of the truck. The crews entered the water with a hot rescue vehicle and extracted the person from the vehicle and brought them to safe grounds. I will tell you this, we have now our gates in place that the public works folks were kind enough to get installed for us. Some of these folks drive around some of those barricades somehow. So when we get down, I think I can speak for Chief Smith as well. We make sure you're out, we make sure you're safe, but we don't want you driving through the water because you're putting our people in jeopardy to have to come get you. So if we do that, as soon as we make sure you're okay, we introduce you to the police officer. Then they can take it from there. But please heed the warnings. If the gates are down, do not drive around them. You're putting yourself at risk, but more importantly to me, you're putting our folks at risk. We don't want to do that if we don't have to unnecessarily.
Don't the gates extend out to both sides?
They do.
Are we just putting them halfway out?
One of them got put halfway out because the patrol division only put them out, was trying to make sure we had room to get down to get into the water, but that's how the cars were going around. So it's a learning experience that we're trying to see how it goes each time we do it. I know we just talked with Steve tonight. He's going to get us out there and start training us all on how they're used. Not that we have time to deploy them, but if we have to, we can get out there and try to do that and try to make sure they're deployed to the fullest extent. So,
are we able to increase penalties or fines as a function of having the bars there versus barricades? Are they different? And
the state already the state has initiated higher fines for that violation itself. So
just across the board, no matter what's actually blocking.
Correct. Yeah. If the barricades are out and they go around to any of our barricades, even if it's a simple A-frame one, that's enough to be a barricade that they should know there's a hazard ahead. And if they go around that, they can be cited for that.
Okay.
And it's much higher penalties for that.
And do we cite them like when they turn them over?
Yes. Almost always. Yeah, unless there's some other explanation for it. But yeah, generally speaking, the officers cite everyone that goes around that we have.
There are some good stories, I can tell you that. Okay, as far as responses go, and I'll give you the EMS calls first for Brenathan Fire Company EMS. 13 calls in Brenathan, 131 calls in Lower Moreland, 56 calls outside the area for a total of 200 calls for the month. We're up to 1,506 EMS calls as of the time of this report, it's much higher now. Of those calls, interesting enough, 139 of those calls, a second ambulance was called at the same time. So we were really busy with our second ambulance. And as you know, I mentioned before, we're putting on a third ambulance. We had a little hiccup with the chassis on that. The company that we are buying the ambulance from uses co-stars to buy their chassis. When they bought their chassis, the dealer they were dealing with defaulted with Ford. Ford came in and repossessed the chassis. And we couldn't find a chassis for the vehicle. Somehow out of the blue, last Friday, the chassis showed up at the ambulance company, so we're back in business being built. We expect to have it in about 3 weeks and put it into service. So we are very busy on the EMS side when it comes to 2 and 3 call deep calls we're getting. It's just growing and growing every day.
65% of the time you had a double call.
This month, it's pretty high.
That's the highest ever.
That's based on Mr. Shadow's information.
And is that just a rise in call volume, or is that, are other fleets in the area
Same thing.
decreasing? Like,
Well,
are we, like,
call volumes are up, you know, and again, I hate to say this, but it seems that people don't go to doctors anymore. They go to hospitals to see the doctor and they call the ambulance to do that for them. That's how they get there. That seems to be part of the trend. Again, the problems we're having with fire and EMS and getting people and employees and so forth is challenging. Some of the squads don't have the staffing that they need to handle the calls, so that we get dispatched or they may get dispatched to cover us. It's a constant maneuvering of vehicles around to cover these calls.
Crescent Fields has also increased their population, so we have a larger elderly population, and that's accounting for a lot more of our calls down at that.
I was just gonna ask, what percentage of calls are coming in that facility in particular?
Sure. Yeah. All right, for Crescent Fields, I'm showing here year to date, 162 calls to them. Carson Terrace was 46. Artist Senior Living is 25. Gloria Day Manor, this is campus dispatches, so I'm assuming it's the one side, 72. Gloria Day Tower, 66, and Huntington Valley Nursing Rehab, we only have 5, but that's because we just started populating that for being closed. So that makes up a good percentage of the calls it's about 25% of the calls to those facilities.
And I have another follow-up question, and I don't mean this question to be crass, so forgive me, but how, based on all those calls, what percentage of the calls are like real emergencies? You're taking someone to the hospital, they're sick or they're in a sort of a life dangerous situation. How many of those are where you're going, but you're going to, like, you know, I think the class was like help someone up because the staff there isn't certified to do it.
I can tell you, based on transports out of inside, let's put it Lower Moreland, Burnett, 706 calls. Out of 706 calls, 73% of those we transport to the hospital.
Okay.
So now those transports are our billables. We don't transport, we don't bill.
Sure.
So that's our revenue source coming back in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was curious what the distribution was and if it warrants any sort of change in procedure, if it's using up resources in ways that, like, there's other ways to sort of handle those issues, but it does sound like the majority of them.
Personally, I believe there needs to be a change in how the medical field works and what people call for, or how we treat patients.
Sure.
Is the other thing, because there's some preventative things that we can do too, but that's down the road. See, like a lot going on right now.
Do we have anything in our power to build facilities, even if we're not transporting for certain types of calls or
Not
something?
that I'm aware of. I'm not sure.
In releases, we can, if they're on site and say it's diabetic emergency and you have to do dextrose, you can bill that. A lot of times the insurance companies deny that billing unless you transport them to the hospital.
And that's the only way we would see revenues through insurance.
Yeah.
And again, our billables,
But
our billables aren't always what we get. There's Medicare rates that come into play that cap off what we get for certain type of calls. So it's not lucrative in any.
Sure, yeah,
fashion,
it
but,
never sounded like it was.
We have an obligation to provide it. So, okay, getting back to the fire calls real quick, and I'll wrap it up. For the fire calls for our station 19, which is the Huntington Valley Station, 26 calls in Lower Moreland, 9 in Bernathen, 1 outside of it, for a total of 36 calls for the month. And a year-to-date of 348 calls for that station. For the other station, we have 9 calls in Bernathen, 30 in Lower Moreland, 4 calls outside the area, for a total of 43 calls. And we have 324 calls year to date out of that station. So our call volumes are up pretty much too on that.
And just to make it clear, it's almost a 5-to-1 EMS fire.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you
Absolutely.
repeat that?
It's a 5-to-1. There's 5 EMS calls for every fire call that we have.
You're saying baked into these numbers,
What's that?
these numbers that were. they
That's just the ratio.
Compared
Yeah.
1,500 EMS calls.
Oh, I see, yep, understood.
So I have a question on some numbers with Bryn Athyn fire calls in Lower Moreland. So Bryn Athyn had 30 calls in Lower Moreland, where Huntington Valley Fire Company only had 26 calls in Lower Moreland. How is that possible?
Because they're not on every call that they get dispatched to. The majority of them we are, but there's certain calls that they aren't. So in other words.
So Bryn Athyn's doing more fire calls in Lower Moreland than we are. That's what this says.
How it's reported, yes. There may have been a call that they didn't get out on.
Does that just mean that that's where the trucks originated from?
What
Yes,
station?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So like it's the.
But usually we would expect that number to be flipped.
I'm
I've never
taking
seen it
try
like
I
that,
didn't
that's why.
invert it when I put it in here, but
No, I mean, the numbers are basically the same.
Yeah.
LO numbers are only 4 apart.
we're
Where
part.
the numbers are.
There are occasions when like an alarm call comes in, a certain alarm call, maybe a one truck call or an officer investigation where it's not the trucks going out, that it's still dispatches that we
Would
get.
a
So that's where it's coming
example
from.
have been on a day that there was not a crew at Huntington Valley, so they originated instead of perhaps?
Not necessarily, although it does happen, but what has happened on this case, and I can tell you, I know what it is. The college just opened up, and as the students are back in the dorms, the calls come in, and when we get more than multiple, like say we get 2 calls for an alarm system there, we then put it on what's called a chief's page. So we don't send the trucks out after that because it's till they fix the alarm system, we just send one person over to check it to make sure. That's where the extra calls came in on that.
But those would be Bryn Athyn calls.
That's correct, that's what it was. Bryn Athyn's higher than the Lower Moreland on the Lower Moreland. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No. The
I
other
follow
thing
you.
that occurs on a
But
basis
that's where we're at with the problem.
is that if the fire unit from Bryn Athyn self-assigns to a medical call to assist them, that'll also generate an F number.
That's true.
Which will be higher for them. So say there's a nasty medical call, trauma, they may send an engine out of Bryn Athyn to assist with the additional paid personnel. Therefore, only Bryn Athyn station will be dispatched and not Huntington Valley's. And they're self-assigning on this.
And we have had that happen this month too. Because they're staffed with the EMTs and paramedic firefighters.
Yeah, and they'll be able to get out.
I'm trying to figure out the explanation too, see, and I'm like, what happened here? So
Chief.
that's exactly.
Just to move along if we're done.
Go ahead.
Sorry, in the weeds here. How's the integration coming with the progression of like reporting from both stations? Is that like getting closer?
I'd like to tell you, yes, I know that myself, Kate, who handles it for Huntington Valley, and Charles, who handles it for Bryn Athyn, have met on numerous occasions now. We've set up the parameters for what we're doing. We've chosen the vendor, which is called ESO. The vendor that is currently using Huntington Valley is Emergency Reporting, which is no longer doing business as of October 1st. So we are forced to move into the ESO. We're trying to get that achieved, but it takes time to onboard the information. In addition to that, we now have to report a certain way to the state. We used a program that was called NIPERS. Now we have NEARS, which is a totally different program that we have to switch to. So we're forced to do that as well. But by January 1 is my target date for us both being on that. We're actually populating the information now for the personnel. There's a number of records that we have to carry over that we do for tracking, like for the tax rebate, for the programs that they have in place for the fire companies, for their members. There's points they have to achieve to stay active. So we're trying to make sure we have that all in there. But that's just the fire calls are just a piece of it. There's a lot of personnel information that goes into that.
January 1st.
That's what I'm trying for.
And for like monthly reporting, and it's helpful to see like the numbers that you report each month, but will we have the ability to be able to see trends like as part of this report? So, you know, when I see 28% of the time that they
Yeah, I grab that from the analytics that I look at within the report. I can provide.
But like, I think some high level stuff I would like to see like on a monthly basis and to see the trend on, without me going back and looking for a report like from month to month to see, are we doing better? Are we doing worse? And in, really a handful of high level.
Sure, I'm sure.
KPI
Because a lot of that's what I
show,
used to do
like,
my
as part of the
study.
monthly report.
Yeah, I'm sure I
That
can
would
get
be
that for you.
helpful.
Yeah, just to add on that too, I think if it's possible to get when we're able to, breakdown of just major categories,
Mhm.
the types of calls that you're doing, so we know if it's fire, if it's a fire, or if it's some other types of whatever those categories are, right? It would be good to know the sort of distribution of those. Some of what we talked about, like
You talking about fire EMS or?
I'm even talking about like
types of fire.
I don't know what the classifications are for certain types of emergencies, but if there's like this auto accident versus like a house fire.
Yeah,
versus,
we can get
versus
that.
an alarm.
We can extract
Just
that
getting,
into it.
so we understand that there's
Absolutely.
a threshold of like very dangerous to like, run of the mill.
I can
So
tell
those
you
types of things where.
Probably about 94% of our calls are for alarm systems.
Yeah, it would just be helpful to that's it.
No, actually, we can get that. So we can do that once we're into both doing the same thing. It'll be a lot easier.
Sounds good. Any other questions from the chief or from the public?
Well, I have one more.
Go for it.
You have the capacity already to count these points as for
We're
the.
using two separate programs to do it now. What we're in the process of doing, is bringing those two together into one.
I understand that, but I mean, so you're already counting, tracking the points.
That's correct.
Okay.
Best we can.
Functional question that just hit me on that. When the county did their ordinance, I believe that actually lists the name of every fire company.
Mhm.
So because they're consolidated into FMFR, we probably need to
Do something.
the county.
Yeah.
So that they are an eligible one to continue on county person.
As of January 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
So will our folks be able to take the tax rebate for this year, for 2025?
So the part of it's out of our control with what we need to pass on to the state. We are ready to do it once it goes through their like final review process.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions from the public for the chief?
I apologize on those stats and not being able to explain that. It's got a lot going on right now.
No problem. All right, thank you, chief.
Yeah.
That takes me to my liaison reports. Civil service, you heard the updates of the new appointments, and we're gonna be doing the police test shortly. Library update, the library held a successful for the books indoor mini golf fundraiser on Saturday, August 16th. We'd like to thank the police department and fire company. They each decorated a golf hole for us and they looked great. They had over 400 people visit the library for that event. The revamped 1,000 books before kindergarten program already has 64 new participants. It is a fun way for parents and caregivers to engage our youngest children in reading. Call the library or visit our website for more information. Huntington Valley Library is also excited to host the movie night under the stars, as Commissioner KURITZ already mentioned. It'll be sponsored by the township on Saturday, September 20th at 7 p.m. The event will take place on the library lawn, rain location as mentioned, Red Line Gym. Bring your blankets and lawn chairs, snacks will be provided. And as Commissioner KURITZ stated, the showing will be Dogman 2025. It's rated PG. See you at the library. That's it. Back to you, Commissioner KURITZ.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Canale. I was wondering why it was 2025. I think it's a newer version of the Dogman movie.
Good. I haven't seen it.
We'll get to the-
I look forward to it.
Looking forward to seeing it. Next, the chair recognizes Commissioner Hauser, Chair of the Public Property Committee. Ruby.
Well, my first item is the Lonzo Forever Green Grant, which we will get to probably next month. They have not submitted the applications for us to be processed. My next item is the 2025 sewer relining project authorization. Our sewer department staff has received a CoStar quote to reline 1,285 linear feet of sewer lines in the township. This helps with our exceedance reserve. No, that's not right. Yes.
It helps avoid
It's
exceedances,
helped to.
which we have a reserve for.
Which we have a reserve for, and that's what we'll be able to have. We have sufficient fund balance to perform this project. The quote from Mr. Rehab is $64,430.25. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I just want to follow up that covers all the costs related to the project. Okay, did a great job.
Any questions from the public? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the quote for Mr. Rehab for relining services in the amount of $64,430.25.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the quote for Mr. Rehab for relining of services in the amount of $64,430.25. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion's passed. Back to you, Ruth.
As far as the sewer report, Steve, is there anything you'd like to report? Seems like a fairly quiet month.
Yes.
Okay, my liaison positions are the Lower Moreland Township Authority, which meets next month. And the Historical Architecture Review Board, which did not meet this month. And we took the summer off for our project where we're doing research. So that completes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Housen. Next, the chair recognizes Commissioner Pace, Chair of the Public Works Committee. Jeff.
Thank you. Item V, review and consider Lower Moreland Park stormwater pipe repair quote. The capital budget includes $75,000 allocation to repair storm pipes in Lower Moreland Park. There is a pipe that's 260 linear feet behind the pickleball and tennis courts that needs some work done. It goes from Broadmoor, entering the park back over and discharges into the pond, right, Steve?
Correct.
Yeah. So Steve received a CoStar's quote from Mr. Rehab for $66,599.80 to complete the work for the stormwater pipe. Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? I'll make a motion to approve the Mr. Rehab quote for $66,599.80 for the Lower Moreland Park stormwater pipe repair project.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to approve the Mr. Rehab quote for $66,599.80 for the Lower Moreland Park stormwater pipe repair. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, Commissioners.
The next item is Public Works, kick it over to Steve. We're almost in the compost season, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I'm into a couple flumes. Our paving project went pretty smoothly. They were a little messy. I would say so. There's a couple spots you still got to come out and clean up. One on Hollowell, at the end of Murray and Red Line, but went pretty smoothly considering. And I didn't get the final numbers yet, but we're slightly under budget, so that's all good.
Are there any intentions of doing what your guys did in-house with the sealing of any cracks that are in the existing roadways of any
Yep, so
neighborhoods?
September, October is our great month to try to do some cracks, so any of this month and October before we start our leaf collections, I try to get out there and get all our potholes milled out, filled, and then we'll seal them. While we're sealing them, we'll seal any cracks
Nice.
on some of the newer roads. Some roads that are shot, and it's not worth wasting our money on.
Yeah.
So, but the better roads, keep your better roads good. That's the whole idea. So, yeah, September, October is always big. Right, so. With Aqua, being that we had so many issues, the last few projects to them, question I did reach out to Aqua, reach out to PennDOT, and I met the contractor this time, so we can try to avoid some of the trench repair, the daily stuff. So I actually talked to the contractor today, and he's gonna call me weekly, let me know what's going on, if there's any issues. One thing I didn't get a chance to tell Scott yet is, one of the issues they're having right now with the detour is that PennDOT did not approve that detour. So that has nothing to do with the township. This Philmont project has been on the books for probably 5 years, 10 years. And that detour was approved 2 years ago. PennDOT's saying now that they're not approving that. That's why there has not been a detour as of yet. So between Aqua and PennDOT, they need to work out to the detour is approved.
Is that putting a delay on?
Yeah, so in the meantime, they obviously can't shut the road down. What they can do though is flag. And that's, I believe tomorrow, they're gonna start saw cutting, so they'll have flaggers out there, but same thing, that'll be 9 to 3. Road will remain open, they'll just be flagged.
So traffic's gonna be less.
Possibly, yeah,
Just in a different way.
yeah. It'll be stopped and, so, I'm trying to stay on top of it this time and get through this one. I met with, the contractor at Feathers Mill Bridge. I mentioned before, we're gonna let him use Chestnut Street to do the reconstruction work he needs to do on the bridge. So he's ready to start that. He's gonna get over there, start laying down his materials there. Met with PennDOT and our engineer for a light pole spot for our traffic light at Welsh Valley. That's a new one. We had a pre-construction meeting for our project down here at Red Line and Philmont. Our contractor's ready to start, I believe, the end of this month, so they're gonna start some of the layout and all that, and that project will be underway.
You'll see the first round of work is all utility relocation and coordination between Pico, Comcast and Verizon. So that triggers moving poles, and then also gas service lines. And then once all of that work is done, the contractor has also started the procurement because new signal equipment is going up, and then they are widening the intersection, and also will be repainting to provide the second left turn lane from Red Line onto Philmont. That amount of the work really we would expect to happen in 2026. So what's going to happen this fall is just that utility coordination work.
You'll see a lot of preliminary work. That'll all be lane movement. I don't think there's any lane closures.
We do not have any closure. It's the same 9 to 3 schedule, but as Steve said, lanes moving, but nothing that is going to be closed. And we've let everybody in that area know to expect that project as well.
It's the gym now, if everyone goes on the calendar, it is pretty much packed with permits now. So each day every year, seems to start a little bit earlier, there will be basketball tryouts and practices now, which is great. So the gym is pretty much packed just about every day in the evening from 5 to 10. The set times. So obviously soccer started. Lower Moreland Park's all set up, that we'll keep it painted, cut every Friday. Valley Center Park, we'll keep the field room every 6 to 8 weeks. And
So, January 1, we have the new trash contract. When will the new toters start to come in, be delivered to the homeowners that are prepared for the new style that we're gonna have to live with?
so I got a couple quotes from a couple different companies. They all include them putting them together and delivery mid-December.
So they'll go right to the homeowner or to you?
So they'll come into our yard, we supply them a laydown area. They'll come in, they'll put together the 4,300 containers. They'll take them out, they document the serial numbers, and then we get a list from them. We have to give them a populated list of, all the addresses, streets, and then they record all the serial numbers and give that to us as they deliver them. They say it'll take about a week. And thinking back to the recycling, that's available to us.
Okay. Something you and I have talked about a few times, and I'm gonna get Jill involved with this too. So, there's been some complaints, sorry, Jill. There's been some complaints from some residents about communication wires, particularly where high the power lines and then communication lines run up the side between houses and then or behind houses. They're complaining of them sagging, being low, out of sight, no one's maintaining them. So there's the PUC they have to follow, right? There's no local ordinance on the heights of these wires, but some are lower. So what can we do as a township? Are we allowed to create an ordinance that these communication companies have to follow that say, hey, you have to be at least 15 feet in the air? Is that redundant to what the PUC says? What are our options?
Ask your solicitor that question as we prepare our letters of credit.
Hello.
How we doing,
Joe, Bryce? This is a common problem all over, where you have, multiple wires hanging off the pole, and the wires are sometimes low and kids can get to them. there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, the first thing I would try to do is maybe talk to the utilities, whose wires are they? Are they all Picos? Are
So
they Verizon?
The low hanging wires.
It's the communication.
that was communicated.
It's not power lines. Power lines is high.
Oh, yeah, not yet.
It's below the power lines, about 10 feet under are the communication lines, whether it's Verizon, Comcast, whoever.
Right, but I think that's the first step. I mean, I know of one township that did some self-help. And, took some wires down. Or tied them up because they were hanging and you couldn't get Pico, it was a Pico wire. But I would start with whoever the local rep is for Pico. For whoever owns the wires, and you've probably done that, right?
Yes,
And what's the answer? You get any?
so we don't really get anywhere.
No cooperation.
I'll tell you the truth, so what I found in, Mr. Mueller had someone that, a resident of Sorrel that had this issue, and I reached out to him, he reached out to, was it Comcast, Xfinity, Verizon, Pico. Well, and he really wasn't getting any satisfaction. I reached out to our things, didn't hear anything a couple of weeks. Told the file with the PUC, he did, they were out within 2 days.
So residents we should provide a link so that they can file a complaint.
Yeah, you can file a complaint directly to them.
Rather than have you bogged down with all these addresses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind giving it a check to help, makes it safe, but.
Okay.
But Joe, there's not a lot, I mean, because the PUC has, they get a certificate of convenience to provide service. And they don't listen to most local municipalities, even if you did an ordinance. It'd be tough to enforce it, but if you can file directly with the PUC.
I think that's the best thing, and
We'll follow.
I found that seems to get them moving, and it has for the last two that I did.
So we can't find them. I mean, it's not just this issue, it's other issues where. There's things that are happening in the township that if they're substandard and are affecting our residents. And this is one where it seems like, and this isn't Joe's complaint, is like, I had a complaint a month ago, where it's the same thing, the wires were hanging down for months and months and months. The homeowner couldn't get anything, and finally Steve went out there and basically, tried to help them and resolve it, and I guess they filed a complaint and got some attention to it, but. We shouldn't, I mean, if there's something more that we can do to, prevent that from happening, I mean. And if it's fines and, that bogs them down that they have to deal with it, then that's something we should consider, but it's railroads that I've heard about where they're doing things along railways, it's the utility companies, it's like they do whatever they want and it affects our residents.
Solicitor, can you take a look legally to see if there's any height regulations for these utility workers?
I have, I'll relook at the issue, but can't find anybody, Dennis, unless you have an ordinance. Yeah, and the ordinance. Would regulate a public utility, which we don't have the authority to do. So let me look at like nuisance type of issues, there's. Sometimes these are nuisance issues with the separate from, like a zoning issue or a height issue, but. And then we'll go, I'll send some recommendations around and see if the schools wants to go down that path. Not easy.
You would think the height minimum would have to be of that of a fire truck or an emergency vehicle at the minimum, right? When some are sagging, see if you don't.
So you can
grab on your hand.
And they're not necessarily the roadways, and the one on Sorrel was, it's the person's backyard, they're looking at wires that are.
His work,
that are laying,
kids soccer net.
that, they're laying through their yard, and that's not right.
Steve, are abandoned wires being removed, or
They're just.
we have piles of that are just totally abandoned and nobody will come out and remove them.
Steve,
And there's wires on Heaton that have been down, and their communication lines, they've been down since May or when the one storm, and they're still laying.
Because the standards that the communications companies are using are, do their customers get service? And after that, they do not.
Yeah, they don't care.
well, if you could Second,
I'll
next
look
year,
at-
look into that too.
I'll see if there's anything else going on now.
And but maybe when we look at that, because just during the scope of Steve's report, we've spent a lot of time on utilities that we don't regulate. We talked about the county's Fetters Mill Bridge and our collaboration with them, and we've talked about Aqua's project on Philmont Avenue. Those things are not the direct responsibility of Steve, and that is where he spends the bulk of his time on your behalf. I know that when we deal with like franchise agreements, there's an attorney who is a kind of expert in that field, and we kind of band together and we utilize that attorney. I think if we can kind of see with any partners, if there are consultants that we could bring on to manage these sorts of utility complaints on the township's behalf, that would be a worthwhile thing for you to fund so that Steve can do the job of local public works.
You want me to reach out to him? Dan Cohen?
Yeah.
And I mean,
I don't know that he's gonna be the one that like is the conduit for us to talk to over, like, to be able to have like a adequate path to be responsive to this concern that residents have, because we clearly understand that it's a quality of life issue.
Right.
But it also means that we're not maintaining local infrastructure at the expense of the frequency of these sorts of complaints. So I think we need somebody to be the advocate on our residents' behalf, separate from the things that we, and particularly Steve, has to stop focusing on that are our responsibility. Like it just, we're out of balance.
well,
So,
let me,
I think starting with Dan and maybe just a conversation as to what's something that we can do so that we can be responsive on the board's behalf, but also it has to somehow better pair with an understanding of what we are responsible for.
Short of me just walking around blockers.
Right, which like legitimately, that's what
They'll
you
come
get
and
to.
fix it then.
And then the problem at that point is if you cut to somewhere, it's that is their actual active like FiOS connection. And now here's Steve on somebody's ring camera cutting down wires, and now the kids don't have internet service. What are the paces gonna do?
I'll report. See what I can find here and go back to them.
All right, next item.
Commissioner Pace, before we go to the next item, I'd also like to thank Public Works Director Steve Werner on behalf of all of us, especially Commissioner Mueller and his board, for advocating on our behalf with different entities. While you see them out there and talking to them, they're clearing County Line Road from Summers to Huntington Pike. It was a huge site distance issue, and it looked pretty god awful. So it really looks nice. They're working on it little by little.
I noticed that right away, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Next item is liaison HVAA, fall soccer's underway, fall basketball's underway. Steve said they have the permit pulled for the gym, so, it's gonna be hard to get gym time over there if you're a pickleball player. Still nice outside. Travel baseball, you can register now. Tryouts start in 2 weeks, so, you still have time to register. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Pace. Next, the chair recognizes Commissioner Blanton, Chair of the Ordinance Committee. Sean.
Thank you, President KURITZ. I have two items on my agenda for tonight. The first is to review the zoning hearing board agenda and the decisions rendered in its last meeting in August. I'll start with the September agenda. The zoning hearing board has 3 applications on its agenda for September. That meeting will be next Thursday, September 18th. The first is application number 25-21. This is the continuation for Solomon Mermelstein at 2600 Huntington Pike, who's seeking relief to allow 2 additional first floor apartments. Not floor. This relief was previously granted in 2023, but it has not been implemented by the owner in the necessary time frame. The second application is number 25-22. This is the application of James Wong, 3578 Walsh Lane. They seek a variance to increase lot coverage to 42.94%. There is currently 35.63%, where 25% is permitted to allow construction of a swimming pool and a patio. And the last application for September, application number 25-23. This is the application of Cheryl and Barry Nagel of 371 Lawrence Road. They seek a variance to increase lot coverage to 26.4%, where 25% is permitted, to allow the construction of a swimming pool and patio. Any questions about the applications for the September agenda. Any questions from the public? Okay, I will move on to the decisions rendered in August. There were two. The first was application number 25-19. This was the application of Michael Coretta and Elaine Subalov of 1693 Silver Birch Road. They sought a variance to allow a deck to be placed on the property line, i.e. with a 0-foot setback where 4 feet was originally set. That variance was denied. And the second application was application number 25-20. This was the application of Dean and Morgan Newell of 684 KURITZ Drive. They sought a variance to increase their lot coverage to 35.9% to permit building a pool with decking. The variance was granted, with the zoning hearing board noting that the increase request was 4.6% because of existing features installed by prior owners. Any questions for the decisions rendered in August?
No, but the names should be Sean. No, it's another typo one. Sean and Morgan.
Sean and Morgan Newell.
I just tried to sabotage you several times and I apologize.
Any questions from any other questions from the board? Anything from the public?
Can I go back to the electric wires? Can I just say something about that?
I am almost done my report, and then we'll open it up
Oh, okay.
for public participation, and that'll be
Concern I have, in fact, I'm afraid of that on Byberry Road, so go ahead.
yeah, we'll have public participation for non-agenda items coming up soon, and that'll be the perfect time to come up with something. Yeah. And actually that does conclude my, so just got that, concludes my report. And then my second agenda item is my liaison report, which I just spoke about, zoning hearing board. The building code board of appeals did not meet, and so I have nothing to report. That concludes everything I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Bland. That concludes our agenda item, so we will now open up for public participation on the agenda.
That was good, Joe.
Would you please like to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
We don't want to. In fact, I was just here paying my taxes and Jane invited me here. I've lived here for 23 years in the village of Huntington Valley, and I love it. So I just want to run over here and
Please state your name.
sure. Patty Weitzel, Weitzel. It's 19 Simon's Way. Close to you. Anyway, when I make that left-hand turn onto Byberry Road to go to the Y, most every day, the trees are hanging like this and the wires are coming down. And in fact, one did go down about a month ago and they blocked the road. I'm driving, I'm like, oh my God, when that winter comes and the snow is when they're gonna go. So, I mean, I feel like I'm going like this. I hope they don't fall on me today, but I don't want them to fall on anybody. I mean, I was 45 years. I don't want them to fall on anybody, and it's very scary. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I'm shaking right, even thinking about it, I really shake going up that, and there's some on Philmont too, going the opposite way when I used to work, but I don't work anymore. But when I used to go down Philmont, trees hanging on the wires, and it's really frightening. So they're gonna go. I
Just to
mean,
let you know, our code enforcement department, takes a look. They've been looking at all our main roads, and if it is out of the right of way,
hanging this way.
and on a property owner's property, they do try to address that.
But this is like a general, it's not one person's property, that's what you were talking about earlier, particular
Just
resident, but this is the general public. And Byberry Road, as we all know, connects a lot, so.
We're gonna have
Trees
them
can come down or just assess them.
Absolutely.
All right, great.
Thank you
That's
so much.
all I have to say.
Does anyone else have any public? Anyone else in the room like to address the public at this time?
All right.
All right, anyone on Zoom? Okay, motion, thank you everyone for coming, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.